ends in ASE is an enzyme most of the time. And the species that survive are the fittest. We have survival of the fittest species, but they get stuck on the other side of the dam if they're not wearing their floaties. So I can draw the blood.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I am naturopathic Dr. Fiona Chin, co-founder of the Kidney Disease Solution and Kygenesis, and I am joined again today by the wonderful Dr. Ellie Campbell. So let's dive into the 5 genes that you see have a huge impact on, you know, the potential increased risk of things like kidney disease and chronic disease.
Right. The next gene I wanted to talk about was MTHFR. Your audience may already know about this, but I have what I think is a kind of a cute analogy of how this gene works. So it stands for Methylenetetrahydrofolate Reductase. Any word that ends in ASE is an enzyme most of the time. And this enzyme is responsible for the methylation pathway in turning folate to methylfolate. And in this pathway, we're converting homocysteine into methionine. And if we cannot do that pathway, our homocysteine levels build up. Why is that important? Well, homocysteine is so critical for thinning our blood. If we have high homocysteine levels, we get thick and sticky blood, and that increases the risk of blood clots. So not only blood clots in our legs, but blood clots in our lungs. If we're pregnant, blood clots in our uterus, and that can lead to miscarriage and premature birth, or even fetal demise. So we don't want high homocysteine levels. And homocysteine is also important in detoxification. So if you have a high homocysteine level, you don't detox very well. And Darwin said that our planet the species that survive are the fittest. We have survival of the fittest species. Well, for the 21st century, I truly believe the fittest are the best detoxifiers. And so I think we have survival of the best detoxifiers. And people with high homocysteine are not the best detoxifiers. So they accumulate in their bodies pesticides, herbicides, petrochemicals, artificial flavors, artificial colors, flame retardant, jet fuels, whatever's in our environment, they accumulate. And they don't detoxify through their skin, their urine, their stool very well. Yeah. So having good methylation pathway is critical to having good detoxification. And then the third thing that methylation provides is the production of neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters are made in our gut and made in our brain. And if we don't have these high levels of neurotransmitters, we're at more risk to develop irritable bowel syndrome, anxiety, depression, OCD, bipolar, dementia. So we want to have good methylation. And the way that I describe it is this. MTHFR stands for Methylenetetrahydrofolate Reductase. So folate is in that word, and folate, or folic acid, is vitamin B9. So you say, well, why don't you just measure my vitamin B9 level? Just give me a folate blood test and tell me how my folate is. Unfortunately, it doesn't work very well, because if I use this analogy that if my vitamins are like fish floating in a lake, in order to be methylated, they have to put their floaties on. Once they get their floaties on, they can get up over the dam and go downstream and do all the good things that B vitamins do when they're methylated. But they get stuck on the other side of the dam if they're not wearing their floaties. So I can draw the blood test and I can see all the floaties, all the fish in the lake, all the B vitamins floating in the lake, and you might have a huge number of them and your blood level might even be high. But if you can't get over the dam and do all the good things that vitamins do, you are going to be inhibited and you're going to have low methylation. So what if I give you B vitamins already wearing their floaties? I give you a B vitamin, a methyl B12 or a methyl B9, and they're already wearing their floaties. Now you get all the benefits and your blood levels may or may not even change. They'll probably go up some, but you may not know, you can't tell from the vitamin levels alone if you're getting the activation. We can measure homocysteine, we can measure methylmalonic acid, and that gives us some clues. But really, a lot of mothers of autistic kids recognize that their children are homozygous for MTHFR. They put a K and a couple of vowels in this mother gene, and it has a very ugly swear word nickname. And they understand that their children do not methylate well. They do not detoxify well. They do not make neurotransmitters very well. And if we supplement them with these methylated B vitamins, we've seen miraculous transformations in some of these children.
Yeah.
So I think MTHFR status is something that everybody should know. Ideally, we should know it before we get pregnant, because all OB gynecologists put their mothers to be on prenatal vitamins. What separates a prenatal vitamin from a regular vitamin is the amount of folic acid in it. But folic acid is the wrong B9 for people with this MTHFR gene mutation. And in fact, competes with and inhibits the methylfolate. So we don't want to be taking the wrong prenatal vitamin, and we want to know our MTHFR status. And we want our children to know their MTHFR status. There's two mutations that have been identified. There's many, but two are most common, the A1298 and the C677. And so you can have a T mutation or an A and A1298C or a C677T mutation. And they're of varying severity. The C677T is more harmful if you have two of those genes, and the A1298 is not quite as bad. But for anybody that has this gene, supplementation with a little bit of methylfolate is usually needed, not in every case. It depends on your amount of oxidative stress. It depends on how much toxicant you're exposed to. It depends on your stress level. And so the more need you have, the more likely you're going to need your methylated versions. But not everybody needs them, and not all the time. I personally take a multivitamin. I have C677T, one mutation, and I take a multivitamin that's got methyl B12 and methylfolate in it, and I'm covered.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Remember to hit subscribe and click like. That helps all our Google, YouTube algorithms. If you want to know more about what we do, head to www.kidneycoach.com. Thanks for being part of our audience. Thank you for being proactive with your health. And Dr. Campbell, thanks again. We'll talk to you next time.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye now.